teacher's gone now, I feel like I can relax a little bit. The boss has gone, so I can talk you through a bit more now. We can relax. So my name's Gareth. I'm the Professional Development Engagement Lead for England at the RPS. So my job is to look after our local groups. I translate the engagement strategy down to what it means to people on the front line. I'm Welsh, I talk very fast, so if I do, just give me a wave and I'll slow down. Around strategy, development of our local groups, like I say, and one big part of my role this year is all about engagement with revalidation. So if we flick on, I did have some quick interactive questions, but we might have to do it the old-fashioned way with hands up. So keep going, yes please, thank you, keep going. So this will just test, if we keep going, what you just heard from Oz. So pharmacist, hands up, pharmacist in the room, should be many, everybody. Technicians, any technicians? Excellent. Pre-regs? No. Pre-registration technician? Oh, what? Yay! Be proud, be proud. And other, I don't know what other would be, but we feel compelled to put other to include everybody. Fabulous, good. So, we know the answer to this one, community. Let's keep going. True or false? This is the first one. If you put your left hand up for true, right hand up for false, only applies to pharmacists. Oh, some people not putting their hands up. This is worrying. Okay, good. So right is false. More right. Go on. Well done. You've passed. Good. So false. It applies to everybody. Let's keep going. Revalidation only applies to those in a patient-facing setting. So again, left, right. Good, excellent. So one of the big things we've had, so I've done probably about 30 of these roadshows across England so far. Everybody asks about, well, actually I don't see patients that often, so therefore this is not for me. It doesn't matter. If you don't see patients, that's just one aspect of being a pharmacist. We do so much more. So it's all about service users, and that's what Oz was saying, was that it could be anybody. You guys are my service users for the evening. So I could write a CPD entry on this, because I'm using my knowledge to help you, and you then use your knowledge to help other people that use your services, and therefore patient safety is improved. Okay, so you can see how that cycle develops. Next one. True or false? This is an easy one. If you don't complete your revalidation process, you may not be able to practice. True. Excellent. Good. This is easy. This is one that always confuses people, actually. So my registration date is the same as my renewal date, which is the same as my expiry date. Oh, not so quick this time. Oh, good. False. Okay, and this is the bit that confuses people, because actually they all mean very different things. So who expires at the end of this year? On the register, I should say. So yeah, come on guys, come on. So the 31st of December is when we expire on the register for most people, and that's normally about half. So I'm hated at the RPS because I expired technically, well, we'll do at the end of July. So therefore I don't have to go through this year. Whereas the vast majority of the register expire at the end of the year and therefore go through it. However, your renewal date will open from the 1st of September to the 31st of October. Okay. So they're the key dates that Oz mentioned that you really need to get your head around. So there are 23 different dates in total that we may all register again. So the GPHE website contains them all. We're in the process of getting a little date checker put on our website, so you can go on, pop your date in, or any date that you know, and it will give you all the relevant information you need. Okay, but it's in the letter, it's on the website. Next one. So again, this was a lovely word cloud that we normally use. And when I asked this last time, somebody texted, because it's all text on screen, and they text up incontinent. So either they spelled incompetent wrong, and that was my hope, or they were so worried that they were having little accidents in the corner. But anybody want to shout out how they feel about revalidation so far? Good. Points to you. I'll pay you on the way out. Excellent. Anything else? I feel better about it, actually. You know, when I used to work in hospital pharmacy, I would do exactly what I said. I'd get called and I'd spend the weekends writing and doing that classic thing of, next time I see a patient with no kidneys, no lungs, you know, this real complex patient that I'd seen and learnt about, I'd write that next time I will do this. And actually, obviously I would never do that. So as a professional, I feel quite happy about this. It's clear, it's easier, dare I say it, and we all know we're going to do it anyway, so we're all in this together sort of thing. But yes, no incontinence this time. Fabulous, thank you. So the first half of my talk, I'll go through this a bit quicker because Oz has covered quite a lot of it. But I suppose the main thing to remember is that this is happening now from September. So those who are expiring at the end of this year, now is the time for you to start thinking, okay? Like I say, everybody else might have different ones, but September is the main one. And it'll be 4 this year, and then 4 plus 2 the following year. But it's staggered. So for me, I'll do 4 next year, and then 4 plus 2 in 2020. Okay, so everybody is slightly later, depending on when they come off the register. Fabulous. So this is just to highlight really the timeline. So we know what's happened already. So as I think it was Graham mentioned at the back, we have our app, which is uploaded. That's on our App Store now and Google Play. Who's got excellent? Thank you. Who's downloaded it? Guys, come on. So there are some leaflets at the back. I'll talk you through it later on.
It's really worth it. It's an excellent resource.
It's really easy. So you could be recording as I speak this evening, okay, and that's one done. We've also got our website. So our portfolio online has changed. So that incorporates revalidation into it as well. And I'll talk you through that later on. And obviously that's this year. Then next year, just remember, obviously it's 4 plus 2. The key thing, which I'm not sure if Oz mentioned, is that it has to be from the past 12 months of practice. And again, some people were saying, well, if I've sort of, not been submitting recently, can I just download those? And no, not allowed to do that. It has to be from the past 12 months. And that'll be from the date you submit. So that's September, October time, previous 12 months. So some of you may have already done it in sort of end of November last year. You may have done your records and you're done. But actually, always remember it's the previous 12 months. Okay. Thank you. Touched on this, you probably flick on through the scrutinisation. Oz mentioned that one. So we're used to planned and unplanned CPD, but I think it's really helpful just to remind ourselves actually of what we've got to do. So it's 2 planned at least, and you can have a combination of whatever then for the rest. But a planned one is that this is happening, you're going to learn about something's coming up. This is a great example of a planned learning event. You knew you wanted to learn more about revalidation this evening because it's going to affect your practice. Therefore, you've come along, you've got clear objectives, you know what's happening, you've got talks, it's recorded, whole host of resources. That's your plan done. Okay, so at least 2 of those. Unplanned, these are the ones we're probably more comfortable with, like I said. So I think my example, I was in paediatric intensive care for 4 years. So if a consultant came to me and asked me a question, I'd have my internal meltdown about not knowing the dose of a real weird antibiotic, but then I'd go away, learn it, come back, and that would be my answer. And that's the unplanned learning that we're probably used to. So that could be over-the-counter inquiry, but equally it could be in a meeting, in a a managerial environment. You might be somebody that gets asked about a budget or a prescribing cost. You don't know. That's unplanned learning, because that will all develop services which will affect patients or service users. Okay, fabulous. Thank you. Peer discussion and reflective account. So I'll touch on those probably a little bit later. If we can flick on from this one, thank you. Well, just pick up on some of these. So these are all questions that come up from the event. So the first one is, who can be a peer? So we've heard basically from Oz that, pretty much anybody can be a peer apart from somebody that you've got a close personal relationship with. So husband, wife, partner, spouse, somebody that may well have an undue pressure on your working relationship. The boss, the manager one is an interesting one. From a practical point of view, it's quite easy for your manager to do this in your appraisal, because you're sat down with them, you have an appraisal hopefully every 12 months, so it can time quite nicely, but don't feel pressured for that to happen, because you need to be open and honest with them, and you need to be safe in that environment. It can be a doctor, it can be a nurse, it could be a member of the technician team, it could be a member of the campus staff, it could be a GP that you work with, it could be a patient if you're working in clinics. I think there's a line in the framework that says, in exceptional circumstances, an expert patient could be your peer. And actually, if you're in a prescribing clinic where you know your patients, they come into your pharmacy day in, day out, you review them every month, they probably know your practice just as well as the GP, probably even better. So don't be afraid to use them, and as long as they're comfortable and they understand the purpose of this, they could be your peer assessor as well. Okay. If you work independently, this is a tricky one, because you might not be in that nice little environment where you've got your regular staff, your regular patients that come in, but because it can be anybody that you come into contact with who understands your work, then it does make life a little bit easier. So obviously you've got this environment, your personal networks. This is a great way of finding your peer. Even now, tonight over coffee, over some more food or whatever, you could exchange some numbers, exchange an email address. There's your peer sorted. Okay, it's really easy to do, and because it hasn't got to be a formal, let's book a meeting room, let's have a chat about this, you can do it anywhere you want. You can go to Costa, half an hour, have a coffee and just talk about this and get your peer assessment done. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a big formal process, so it's easier to do it than you might think. At the RPS, we're looking at how we can support you with the phone line. So we've got a support line, I'll talk about later on. Is there a way that we can develop that so you could call up and do it over the phone with somebody? We're all pharmacists that work there, we're going through this as well, so we can advise you on this process. So maybe that's something that we're going to look at. So there are ways, there are local practice forums that I look after, they're a great way to plug in and develop your practice. Examples of peer discussion, so we produce loads, Oz says the GPHC have as well, they're available on our websites. Please do go and have a look. I'll talk you through one at the end, just sort of a bit of a, make life a bit easier, but they are available. Thank you. Reflective account, I think we've probably talked about all of these. I think what I would say about reflection is that only part of it is a story, okay? Don't fall into the trap, because in undergrad studies, we don't really get taught how to reflect. Doctors and nurses get a lot of time about how to have reflective practice, whereas it's not so great in the pharmacy world. So it's very easy to fall into a story mode of, I did this, I felt annoyed about this, or this happened, it made me really stressed in my day. And that's part of it, but don't forget you need to reflect that then into those pharmacy standards as well. So I think that's all I'll say about reflective practice. There are lots of methods around there. Gibbs reflective cycle of reflection you might have heard of. Very structured, very easy way of working around the reflective process. Okay, so have a look. There are lots of resources out there to support you with it. And we've seen that, so they're those core 9 standards that we reflect against. Lovely. So a bit about what we're doing to help members and non-members. Okay, so the app. So we've heard about the app already. So this is available. So for members, this is free. For non-members, there are some leaflets at the back that give you information about a free trial. It's a 7-day free trial. Please log on, please download it and have a play with it. And on there you've got 100, I think, if not more now, because they've been developed all the time, pieces of CPD. These ideally fall into the planned learning, because there'll be topics on there, clinical topics, there'll be things about managerial, there'll be things about education training, public health, lots of different topics that are on there, and I'll show you some screenshots in a minute about how to use it, but that's there. It's also got the blank forms on there as well, so like I say, you could be recording as I speak. Record it all on there, save it to your profile, one thing done. So you can do it on the move, okay? And in addition to the peer, it's also got the peer discussion reflective account blank forms as well, okay? And we've got the templates on our website, so they are all up there. Next one is, perfect, so we can go quite quickly through these if you want. So these are just some screenshots. So we've got this with the PJ. So members will be used to getting the PJ, and we've built on the learning articles in there to populate this, so we know about them. People like them, and there's a whole host of topics. So this is all organised according to disease state or topic, clinical area. So if you keep going, so you can see on the left hand side you've got your profile. When you open up that app, you can populate that with your details. Everything is saved there, okay? So it'll record everything. We'll show you that in a minute. But you've got pharmaceutical sciences, business, careers, consultation skills, all on that app. Okay, it makes life much easier. And then once you go into a particular area, the menu keeps expanding, so you keep going, and then you can pick your article. This is what you'll see. We've got the multiple choice questions on there as well. So obviously the GPHC don't want you to upload certificates and those sort of things. But from the RPS point of view, revalidation is so much more than just, I have to do this every year, I need to pay my fees, click the button, send it off. This is part of your professional journey, about your professional development. So actually, these sort of things can all act as evidence to show how you're developing as a practitioner. So if you can complete these as well, wonderful. And these will all be linked up with the articles, okay? The boxes are exactly the same as what's on the app. And as you mentioned earlier about making that interface between them. So we're working really hard with them to get this done. Fingers crossed, I'll say it out loud, is that we're going to do that for the spring. That's what we've been told is the earliest date to get this talking to each other, because we completely agree. Why would you populate 2 records? If you can do one, send it across to them, and this will sit with us, and you can have that for your lifelong portfolio. Okay, let's keep going. And there's just black examples of the reflective account and the peer discussion. And then here you'll see everything is stored, so it's all kept on that app for you. The next step will be September. We're going to make this talk to our website, which I'll talk about in a moment, so that you've got like a cloud-based function. So if you populate this, it will populate the website as well. Because again, we don't want you using different services or different platforms. We want it all in one place. Okay. So the next one, so that's just about the app. If you go to that website, that will give you more information about the free trial. Do download it, and like I said, it's free for members. For non-members, after the 7-day trial, you can get it through subscription to the PJ. So I think PJ subscription is £10 a month. So if you do it that way, you can get access to this, but obviously you don't get all the additional benefits that help with revalidation that I'll talk about in a moment as being an RPS member. Okay. So this is a little bit about our portfolio on the website. So anybody in here on faculty journey or thought about faculty, might want to do faculty? Good. A lot of people do think about it.
No, but actually going into it and looking at it all, it's not that straightforward and difficult to understand.
No, you were quite right actually, and I'm on there, I'm registered, I'm guilty of clicking a few buttons and then running away. But actually we've tweaked it so that your faculty will build up with your revalidation journey as well. So our motto is build, bank and back up. So go onto our website, we've got the new portfolio on there, you can create your evidences for them on there. They're on there, you do with them what you want, they're your evidences, okay? However, if you want to do faculty, it's really easy to use those evidences just to map across to the framework. So there's no longer do you have to do one set of evidences for faculty, a different one for your revalidation. The one evidence will count for the same, okay? So it's helping you to get on that journey and to make it easier. Bank. So the scary thing with the GPHC is that once it's on there and you click submit, it's gone. It's gone. You see an error, you see something that's not quite right, nothing you can do about it. Come to us because you can keep going in and out, tweaking, changing. That will stay on there, and then you submit it when you're good and ready to, okay? A sort of link to that is the backup function. So we will keep your records indefinitely, and this is something that the GPHC is enabled to do. So if you want to create your records with us, go on and do it, okay? We've also got the upload function, which was released last week. So if you downloaded your things from uptodate.org, which is now closed, you can upload those up there. If you have a certificate from this evening, you can upload that to our website. So again, it's like almost like a cloud-based thing for you guys to record your learning as well. Okay, so that's part of our offer. And like I say, we want this to talk to the app. Right now it doesn't, but the tech guys who are incredibly brainy are behind the scenes doing this. So by September, this will be live. Okay. Fabulous. So this is just a quick screenshot actually of what our thing looks like. So it's all been tweaked so it matches the planned, unplanned, reflective account peer discussion. And then on the left hand side you can see it says map entries. So if you want to map to faculty or foundation frameworks, you just click that button, choose your competencies, and it's done. Okay, and then you choose to submit whichever route you want to. What else is there? So if you are an RPS member, you get all what I've talked about with the app and the platform, but you also get our support service. Has anybody ever used the support service? Called that line. Actually, they're a really great thing to use. So they advise on this. So if you're struggling or you want to run something past them about revalidation, if you're a member, give them a call and it's free. Okay, but they can also advise you on anything else, legal, ethical, some aspects of clinical, or point in the right direction at least. Okay, so please do use them. And like I said, CPD doesn't just have to be a clinical topic. So we've got community standards, we've got things about the MEP, a whole host of resources on our website which you can use. So in addition to using the ones on the app, log on, any guidance, any frameworks on there, use those as well for your CPD, okay? Talk about faculty, we're sending out our weekly newsletters, that'll be restarting now, things are picking back up. Our web pages, so my Growth at Welsh Tomes, are available on our website as a webinar if you want more information. And we've also, like I say, got the blank things on there. So please do go on and have a play as a member. You can also become a registered user of our website. So if you're not a member, you can register and you can have access to certain things to play about and see if it's for you. And actually, if you're happy, convert to a full membership and you get full access to things as well. So there's a few different things you can do. In addition to all the revalidation things, practice guidance support. Who's used the MEP? Who's used it today? Who today? Okay, fine. I'll let you off. You're just so good at your jobs. It's good. But the MEP, we produce that. We've used it. Everybody's used it in their day-to-day practice. Professional support team, CPT, faculty foundation. Your voice in government. So last year we had 67 occurrences in media, be it printed, spoken, TV. You might have seen Ash, our president, washing his hands on BBC Breakfast. That was a personal high for him. With his singing voice, he very much loved that. We had to train him and everything. But we're doing things. We're out there. We're working really hard for you guys. Networking empowerment, so the rebalancing legislation, that's gone through, which is wonderful. And now we're pushing on that for the hospital colleagues as well. We've brought that into act, so we're really, really proud of that. In addition to the PJ and the clinical pharmacist, I think most people like having that. Even if it's just a quick flick through when it comes, or they use it for their learning, it's nice to be kept up to date. Fab. So, here are the important numbers. So it's the number, the email, and the website. Do make a note of them. Do call them if you want any more help. Obviously, I'm around. Please do grab me. The next... Perfect. So what I'm going to do, if we can just flick through to some of the actual examples, rather than talk you through these bits. Keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Perfect. So this is if we keep going through this and the next one. Lovely. So this is just to show you how easy it is. Okay. So this is the planned example. So what are you planning to learn? That's box number 1 that we have to complete. I'm planning to understand the revalidation process and how this affects me as a pharmacist or a technician. I want to be confident in my understanding of what I need to do and by when to ensure that I am able to continue my practice and ensure that I am always working to the best of my ability to support the users in my service. Job done. I also want to understand how the RPS can support me through that journey. Okay, so that's a real short, sharp, quick overview of what you want to learn. Box 1 done. Number 2, how are you going to learn it? So, I will attend an organised event by Hertfordshire LPC. There will be presentations from the RPS and the GPHC about the CPD requirements, and we'll talk through the extra support. I will also take part, you sort of took part in the interactive sessions which will allow me to understand the requirements of the different aspects of evidence and also the opportunity to complete a CPD. Again, nothing in there is scary or complex, that's what you've done. Next one. So this is the bit that you have to be mindful of. So ignoring this sentence, that's what we used to do. So by attending the event, I now understand the requirements of the revalidation process, how I achieve it, I've completed a practice one, and what I need to do in the other evidences. This will benefit my users as it will allow me to ensure that I stay up to date with my knowledge and my continuing professional development, and will allow me to demonstrate my commitment to providing the best service to the users. By completing the process, I will be able to continue my practice as a pharmacist or technician, which in turn allows me to continue to provide the service I currently provide to my users. Okay, we might have stopped there in the O system. It's this last line which is the most important. So I have discussed this evidence with a peer, and I was able to use my knowledge to help them identify another learning event that they recently attended in their workplace, and how this would also form another planned CPD event. So this is saying that actually you've used your learning today, you've gone back to your workplace, you might have had a quick lunchtime session with some of your colleagues in branch, and you've gone through what I've done, give them some examples, and they've completed something with you. You have done one, because you have used your learning to help them. Okay, and that's the closing the loop bit, which we don't do that often. So, peer discussion example. So this was supposed to be like mind-blowing and big, but my PowerPoint skills are not that great. So, you describe now, so this is the peer discussion example. So the big thing is talking about why you chose that peer in the first instance. So I've decided to have a peer discussion with my line manager regarding the pharmacy services provided to an off-site elderly care ward. I chose my line manager because of her experience at the trust, understanding of clinical pharmacy on the wards, and her awareness of the challenges of working in an off-site ward. My line manager will be able to provide useful guidance and advice. Okay, now the most important part there is that I chose my line manager because of the experience of the trust. So that sentence, because you've given some real thought there as to why this person is best for you. So like Oz says, if you change roles or sectors, whatever, you need to really think about who's going to be your peer. Okay, so that's the key bit. The rest is useful and helpful, but the GPHC are looking for this. They're not looking at the actual content, so they don't want to know whether you helped 65 people over the counter. They want to know that you've done the process. And it's the same for the reflective practice. That's what they've told us, is that they don't care what you've sort of said in that reflection. It's more about that you've carried out that reflection and you've shown some benefit. Okay, let's keep going. So this is very wordy. So this is just a very long description almost of what happened and the benefits. If we flick on, I'll pick up the most important bits for you. So important part number 1, I found the discussion very insightful. And so you're saying here that the peer discussion was useful because, again, this is not about the content, this is about the actual process of peer discussion. Found the discussion very insightful, and it has used it to guide changes to my own practice and review areas for further learning and development. For example, communication and handover to my fellow colleagues was identified as an issue. I now ensure that a clear handover of patients is left in the pharmacy handover folder on the ward. So you can see that if you're reflecting maybe against communication standards, you're sort of doing it here without even talking. You're just thinking about it, what you do in your day-to-day job, something that you've changed, something that you've improved, that would meet that standard. I've shared my learning with other members of the team who work on the off-site ward, so they are aware of the changes. I've also highlighted the need for continual review and feedback. You will receive good feedback from the nursing staff, especially with regards to better stock management, so patients have access to medicines in a timely manner. So again, you've got examples of people have given you some feedback, some positive feedback, could be negative as well, but this all helps the sort of the case when you submit to the GPHC. So again, there's the support numbers, the line, the contact numbers. Something to add, if you have colleagues or yourself might go on maternity leave, that's something to flag up to the GPHC because they will adjust your timeline. So please do share that piece of information. It's not sort of out there that easily. They might say that you might do maybe 6 pieces over a longer period of time, or you do less for the time that you're actually face-to-face practicing, okay? But that's the only extra piece of information. If anybody has any other questions, please do shout, I'm around. And that is it from me.